Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bring the Heat podcast, episode number 10, our final of the season. Of course, I'm not alone, though. I'm joined by my lovely friends, Joe Quickdraw Basso and Bones Tom Bamford. Of course, no guests, unfortunately, boys. It's only us this evening. And, we've got a few more small things to wrap up, of course, for our final week here for the podcast for season 1.
Yeah, woo! Finally.
Woo.
It's been a long time. It's the last 10 weeks have just been ridiculous.
Mind you, 6 of those weeks we're talking about FE, so
listen, don't make it 7, Tom. Fuck off. We're not here to make it 7. We've had a pretty good time. We'll touch on it obviously a little bit later. It's been a really good season, honestly. Like the feedback and the support that everyone's been showing. Like I did not expect this much attention, to say the least. And on top of that as well, there has been a couple of other podcasts coming out around ours as well, which is good, I guess, for OS as well, just seeing some other variants come out as well.
Yeah, it's good to see everyone talking about the scene, not being like us being sort of harsh on other people like we have been. But yeah,
I think next season's got to be not really like as harsh. I'd say it's not going to be as passive either. Like, we're still going to have jabs, obviously, but it's going to be okay. I reckon it will be fun. But Tony, I think we should start talking, right? Because there are a couple of different topics today, which they're all pretty big, honestly, which is quite nice. For the last episode, of course, going into the off season just about as well.
Yeah, the off season of Valorant. I'm assuming you're mentioning here. It's it's going to be interesting. Oceanic Valorant, as a whole, of course, props again to Peace and Order, making those last chance qualifiers. And they're going to have some interesting competition because I believe, Berlin's just happened over the course of the week. We do have our grand final yet to be played. But, of course, it's EMEA. It's Gambit versus the side of Envy, which I was not expecting. Envy really brought the heat, and I guess it's going to be interesting to see how that grand final goes. Gambit are playing absolutely out of their minds. I was not expecting this form from Gambit going into Berlin, but definitely outperforming. And some of these teams that you expected to actually take this lane have been knocked out in that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th kind of area, and it's very unfortunate to see for some of them.
I think it's just proof that you can't stay invincible. Especially with Sentinels getting beaten by Envy, like. There's always going to be an upset, and well, that's where it's come. It's in one of the biggest major events, pretty well Valorant seen today. It is the biggest event, so I'm very interested to see how the final goes. I think Gambit should dumpster Envy. Personally, I think they just look a lot cleaner overall. I think EMEA this time around is just looking a lot stronger, but we can talk as much about NA and EU as we want, Tony. But the main focus is going to be OS this episode, right? Because there's a lot of shit that's going on at the moment. Order and Peace obviously going to be sticking around because they've got last chance quals coming up. For everyone else though, this is where we get to see some moves happen.
Rostermania, yeah, it's the O Shuffle, as we like to dub it. Of course, after a major tournament, there's always bound to be a few rosters disbanding. Of course, we saw Nebula. Their core of 5, I believe, now parting ways. A few of them, from what I've heard, have been sticking together. I'm not quite sure who is the core 3 that are staying together, but I imagine a few of them, still want to play together. Jesse Royals maybe got a little bit of synergy and looking to keep it with maybe Cal for Tax. Who knows? But Minimize, I definitely know he's fielding offers right now. He's been trialing with a few teams. Like, not quite sure, of course, who, because we don't have really access to all those scrim kind of results. But it's interesting to see as well. ShadowNet, of course, disbanding in the wake of the last week Legends. Fortunately, we only got to see 1 week of the Legends stage for Winter Cup for the final week. So, but it was again Trident versus Legacy, and it's interesting to see Trident now ranked at that 5th spot here in the region. Of course, all these teams, above them, even Bliss we might see some changes. Maybe Azo departs his roster. Maybe someone else leaves. Easy, I believe, was hinting at it, as we said last week. His Twitter bio changing, but maybe quite. Of course, maybe not. We'll still yet to see. Mindfreak, definitely hope to see some changes from them. I don't know really who you'd want to drop from that roster, but it's Ferg. You want to see Ferg gone, Bones?
Whole team.
They just need with Berg being around since CS, they just need maybe someone a bit younger, a bit more youth into that lineup. That's just my opinion.
I'd still argue the fact after previous results, they're just not going to gel together. I think there needs to be something that's changed within that team.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Maybe someone a bit younger, maybe someone who's got more potential. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of from Mindfreak is Ferg. When you look Legacy solid, I reckon they're mostly. I reckon Nice Hacks, Punda, and Yufang would be the core three. If anything changed, it would have to be Mike and Duddy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, which there previously that has been on the table. I'm pretty sure because I know Duddy. It's either Duddy or Mike. One of the two previously just weren't really about strats.
I think that was Duddy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Duddy. So
Because Mike was grinding and Duddy wasn't really like listening too much.
that was preemptively, but I think like across the board, you kind of have like these solidified top teams, right? Because I think wildcard needs to change. I think probably either one or two is probably in order, just because they're just not the caliber that they were previously. That was the team that beat order.
What do you think?
Bliss, I think, is if I'm going to cull two people from that team right now,
I'd keep Noz. I think Noz has been doing sensationally recently on Wildcard. I don't think you drop Noz. RD, he's had a bit of inconsistency, but he's still, pretty up there. Swirl, of course, always doing numbers. But maybe they drop Swirl and swap it up. They get someone else. Swirl, of course, maybe goes to Mindfreak even.
I don't know. Like Swell's still a really good performer, and even if you're looking at the stats and such, like I think Infrequent has fell off a little bit recently as well. Alongside that, Signed hasn't really been the caliber of player we've seen recently either. Like he's been negative KD in most of their games as well. Not even on the KD side, I think as well, the impact that he has just isn't as prominent as what it was, when he was on order for that little stint, but that was mainly because he had those individuals around him. I thought after Sign's little stint with Order, he would have gone into Wildcard and actually brought some of that stuff to them, but it seems like nothing's actually really come about it. Because if you're looking at the teams that should have the changes, you'd be thinking Wildcard at least one. Bliss needs to get rid of Azo, because I think that's already on the table for them, apparently, due to some leaks coming out about that. I'm really keen to see how Trident goes. Mindfreak is either going to change two people or disband. That's probably going to be one of the two options I've got. Legacy, I still think they're going to make a change as to who. I don't know, especially seeing as they've just signed to Legacy. I don't know how they're going to feel about that either.
Yeah, it's also interesting, I guess, for the free agent pool, who's currently LFT. You've got the entirety of Shadownet, you've got the entirety of Nebula. As it, maybe a few players, of course, as you said, from Wildcard Bliss and Thingy, Wildcard Bliss. Mindfreak, sorry. And it's going to be interesting to see where some of these players kind of land up. I hope to see, of course, because I know Shadownet all too well, and I know what some of their players are capable of. Of course, Vesta, I'd hope to see him on one of these top 5 rosters, or one of these top 6 rosters, if there is that kind of shakeup. Because I think Vesta, as a player, whether he ends up on Mindfreak, Bliss, or even Wildcard, even, I think Vesta's got a ton of potential there that just hasn't been shined all too recently, of course, because of the leagues Shadownet have been playing in.
Yeah, I reckon Vesta's solid for either Mindfreak, maybe even Bliss, just because he's aim. He is an aim god. He's literally an aim coach. But one person I want to throw out, I don't know if he's still with this team. They haven't played in a month. Jordan.
Yeah, Vertex is still together, I'm pretty sure. They're probably looking to ride it out until the next thing of it. I'd imagine
they are together because I know JDU wouldn't let that happen, obviously. Yeah. But I think more so, I think Vesta would slot into Bliss pretty well. I don't think Mindfreak's a team that would work well with his certain play style as well. I think Mindfreak, they're on a lot more strat, heavy orientated roster. They try to play a lot more structured in comparison to some other teams, but it just doesn't work for the most part, just due to their individual prowess. But I think, like across the board, if you're looking at your top 8 teams, right, pretty well going by the fact that supposedly Mindfreak may have changes if they disband, pretty well your top 10 is pretty well in place at the moment. But I think it's more so the fact that your top 5 teams are pretty well solidified now. I'd put Trident as that 5th team now, considering the results that Legacy and Mindfreak have had. I hate to say it personally, but it just hasn't been that consistency that we wanted to see.
And it's also interesting to see because, of course, if we go a little bit later down the pool here, Direwolves, someone needs to go or something needs to happen. They need to care more.
Bottom line, Tony, the whole team needs to go. Like,
Yeah.
I hate to be the one to say it, but that roster just is not working, especially with the results they've had. I understand a lot of those guys, they just like playing together, which is, fair enough if you're going to be not a competitive team, but you're just playing because you're mates with people. That's cool.
Yeah,
but if they're trying to be like a competitive team and not like a pubs team, they need to just dip. Honestly, there needs to be changes. Just band, go to another team, try rebuild if you can, because the results from those guys have just been absolutely dreadful. Because all the good teams they've lost against pretty well, every single like semi decent roster, and looking at some of these teams, half of these don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, like Bizarre, Augulus.
Yeah, and K16 I think is also some of them are fielding offers. I've seen a few.
They've
tweets.
also disbanded.
Okay, so they've also bit the dust. It's going to be interesting to see where a few of those K16 players end up then, because Tix, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, of course, having casted him, he could be the next Runsky, he could be the next Kouth if he's willing to put that effort in. But it appears he's got a bit of a attitude problem at the moment. I don't know. This is just what I'm hearing. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, some of the other players from K16, they've got promising swaps if they want to. Leyline, I know, very smart individual server player. From what I've seen, of course, as well. Bayer, smart in the Sentinels when he decides to show up to some of their games. Of course, I'm making a slight little joke there. He did unfortunately have his power cut out. There was a few jokes saying he wasn't showing up to the game, but no, it's just his power cutting out. So I hope we see Bayer. ADHD as well as a player that could use a little bit more work. But that's what you expect to see from a few of these lower standing teams. Pigeon as well, I believe, disbanding. So they're currently looking to probably reform under a different roster, and it's going to be interesting whether we see a few of these players come together from some of these lower teams as well. K16, Pigeon, even though some of them probably aren't looking to play anytime soon as well. Some of the Bizarre players formerly maybe looking to come back and really do some damage here and sign under an org. Maybe we see some crazy things happen. But of course, transitioning now over to our next point. Of course, this was just actually tweeted in the last few minutes that we were discussing. It was the Play AEN Valorant Spring Series that they're going for, a 3K prize pool. An 8-week event, 8 teams invited, and 4 via an open qualifier. It's good to see an org really get around, knowing that Valorant's in a bit of a lull since VOT finishing. There's a tournament to be played here.
Yeah, holy shit.
Realistically speaking, I was just about to say, this event's going to be the one that, you get to see those shuffles come through, right? Because for the teams who do get invited, as I don't think Mindfreak will go. So if you're looking at the teams that probably will get invited, Peace and Order aren't going to be there because they're overseas. Wildcard and Bliss potentially, Trident more than likely. Mindfreak said a couple of their players are taking a break, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them. But this is pretty well going to be the chance that you get to see those roster changes come through. And I think it's going to be, obviously it's the end of the year, so I don't really expect too much from teams overall. Like if it's a pub play style, I wouldn't be, they're there to relax, honestly. I think that's more so what this will be. But for the teams that get invited, it's going to be interesting to see who does and who's able to, I guess, adjust to having a bunch of different people and a bunch of different teams on board. And it also opens up, those 8 extra slots as well for some new individuals to come through as well from other rosters. But if you're really going to put pen to paper, there's not really too many teams I can think off the top of my head who wouldn't, other than the invited teams, what are the other 8 that will come through? Because I can't really think about it.
Fury?
Oh, yeah, Fury maybe.
You got to throw your own team in there, Joe.
I'm just letting this know. We've got an invite to it, so that's...
Oh, you do?
That's us.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
Leaked live on the podcast.
Yeah.
Joe's already gotten an invite for his team. An exclusive. It's going to be interesting to see then, I guess, as you said, of course, Order and Peace not being there because of the last chance. Wildcard taking a break. Bliss and Mindfreak under reconstruction. This might just be a free farm for Trident, I feel.
You're not wrong, unless Legacy just rocks up. That's
Mm.
the other thing. But I think a lot of the good teams probably won't play just because it's off season. I reckon that's probably going to be the key thing, because a lot of these players have literally spent the entire year playing VOT just to fall short at the final hurdle, and I feel they just need like a month or two to relax.
Mental reset.
There's been a fucking lot of Valorant over this year. Like they haven't had a break pretty well.
And how good is it though to have that much Valorant? How much of a scene to be growing like that? It's brilliant.
First year.
It's a good thing for the first year, but again, like obviously you're gonna burn out at some point, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think coming into this phase, you kind of need to relax a little bit further. And even if you play the event and just play a bit more of a pluggy play style, switch up a couple of the roles, see who's just feeling to play what. I think that would be cool as well, just seeing some different Asian picks from different players. But overall, I think it should be a decent event. Again, I hope they get some semi decent broadcasters and observers and everything else in between. Nah,
I'm pointing to these two right here.
Just
decent casters. Hello.
Because just looking at because obviously I sent in like a letter to LPL about VOT and what advice I'd give to them. I feel like if it's more of a grassroots setting, which it is, they need to pick up some people who like they're decent for their caliber, but they're still trying to get there. So people like maybe a Mercury,
Digital.
Who else was it?
Yeah, digital.
Probably in there as well.
Tatum's. I think you give Tatum's a shot, not in the obs slot this time. I think, mind you, Tatum's observing for the B-side stream was really good. I think you put Tatum's on the mic. I really enjoyed what I've heard from Tatum's recently, and as you said, yeah, throw a few of those community casters into the mix.
What's
especially
her name?
Cozy Josie.
Yeah, for her in there. We haven't got a female caster, do we, in Valorant?
Just get some underrated people. So, like, people, I'd probably say, probably including you, Tony, as well, not being included wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if it's grassroots, because obviously you're still established, but if they get you on board, that's great. Obviously, obviously not to put them on blast, but, Conky, Dion, Mac, Pilsky, those guys are all, established. At least, and I feel an event like that, if they get those individuals in, it kind of takes away from the whole grassroots setting, especially for, I guess, other individuals who are starting to work their way up. Because Valorant has literally the most amount of community casters we've got ever. Like, there's so many people who have gotten into it. It's ridiculous.
It's all casters that I guess you wouldn't necessarily say have an FPS background. Of course, a few of them have come over from Counter-Strike. Of course, I'm talking about Emperor ZK, has Daddy Slim as well, myself, doing a few other community leagues on the side. But yeah, as you said, a few of these newcomers that have come to Valorant, and hopefully we get to see them hop on the mic and really showcase what they've got. But I guess, we've been talking a lot about Valorant. We should swap it over. We changed our game here, Joe, of course, to talk about PUBG, the recent announcement for the format changes for PGC, and of course as well PCS 5 APAC going on over, of course, the span of the last week.
Okay, so just first off, whoever actually decided to make this change for PGC at the end of the year, I will suck you dry, because the most chicken format is the single worst thing that was ever introduced to any fucking esport ever. And Tom, I would say that abruptly, because the amount of times that teams have been absolutely shafted over this shit format is ridiculous. Because even if you're looking at teams right now who are competing, Brew didn't even compete, Tony. They didn't even get in because they didn't get any wins.
Yeah, we're basically representing Brew.
They're literally the best team in APAC alongside us, and they didn't get in because of this format. And, that's on them for not adapting, of course, but it's still absolutely absurd that you're going to see shit like that, because this event as well, if we're looking, I think we touch on PCS first between the 4 regions in comparison to PGC. We'll talk about that afterwards, just because obviously PCS is the event leading to that. So I think it's a good thing they've got the most chicken rule during the week. So if a team wins, they qualify for the event on the weekend. And then the weekend event is when they go off points, which I personally like. I think that's pretty good. But I guess if we're looking at PCS 5, I'm not sure if you guys have like the wiki up or...
it's not linked in the document.
I am pulling it up right now.
Here we go. I'm throwing it in the episode 10 chat right there for you for APAC. But I think what I want to start with is we'll go through from Europe through to APAC, Asia, and Americas, because there has been a couple of really good results across the board. Some extremely unexpected, some controversy, some might say as well. But we'll discuss that in a certain moment. But I think to touch on Europe straight away, personally, there was pick'ems in the game, of course.
Yep.
Which again, I really love PUBG for doing that. It makes it a bit more fun, to do stuff like that. And I guess like across the board, looking at Europe so far, they've already played their first day of games, so they play again tonight as well. I put VP to actually win the whole event personally, so I'm happy with how they're going so far. I'm really happy with that. I think realistically, Liquid's actually the one that got the most pickups, and they're currently in 11th place. So it really does show if you're a team that doesn't get wins, it really just kills you. Because again, after 3 weeks, the team with the most amount of money wins the event.
Jeez. Wait, FaZe also in there? I heard FaZe still doing well. I remember hearing about FaZe beforehand, and
so they've had a couple of changes.
Yeah.
But I think realistically speaking, the teams that should be winning this event would probably be VP, Heroic, Na'Vi, Liquid, even throw BBL in there. They're a really underrated team as well.
Yeah.
But I think realistically speaking, it should be VP or Liquid to win. I'd put VP personally, just because they've been the kings of Europe for a bit, and I think they're really, really consistent with how they play. But obviously, APAC for us, we're a little bit more familiar with.
Yeah.
Because this week's games, they were a little bit weird. Because I
Yeah.
think the teams that finished in the top 5, 4 out of the 5 of them were expected. UNP had some fucking insane games, and I'm talking people calling them out for cheating. But they
Sus clips out there.
that's all I'm saying, because they've already investigated it, so they're cool. They had a really good first day. They got 89 kills, and second highest kills was us, with 64. So on the first day, they got 61 kills, and then fell off on the second day. So over the 2 days, they got their 2 wins. They finished on top because of their kills, which, like, props to them. They've done really well for themselves. AAP, BNU, and AAA expected, personally. I think AAP and BNU, they finished up top with us last event as well, so they've done well.
Yeah.
But again, with the format, especially us coming 5th, we had 2 games where the guys just weren't able to capitalize, especially one where they were paying a bit too much attention to one team and they got third party by BNU. So like the format itself, it really plays to, not luck per se, but it depends on, what takes place. Because if you get one win, as you can see, 36 Cartel got the first win of the event and they finished 8th. So they actually walked away with, I think it was $2,000. I think it was USD 2.5 or something like that.
At 2.5K.
Yeah, and then teams like Daytrade and Sharper, I feel fucking bad for those guys, man, because those two, like, they're really good Thai teams, but like they just don't get a win and they're struggling. Like if they got a win, Daytrade probably would have ended up top 6 at that point.
Yeah. I was gonna say, also considering a few of their games in the, I guess, the round 3, 4, and of course second, they didn't start off too great day one. Daytrade had a really rough day 1 start, but of course as well, as you said, 36 Cartel snagging the first win, Fury getting the second, both OS teams getting the first 2 wins of PCS 5 APAC it's always a big one, but unfortunately 36 Cartel, they had some pretty good games, I have to say. Definitely impressed with that 36 Cartel roster, and of course definitely outperforming their previous predecessors, and in that second Oceanic seed that we saw from Bliss, of course, last PCS.
We keep taking the piss out of it, but obviously Bliss finished 10th last event, which is better than what they did previously, and Cartel's already one up them. The 36 Cartel guys are just, they play a lot more to the format in comparison to what Bliss does, because they actually play to zone more so than what Bliss does. And even in the qualifiers as well, Bliss finished 7th. So they really had a rough time to get into this. But I think realistically across the board, the top 8 teams, honestly, anyone in the 8th slot or the 7th slot, you get a win, you're fucking guaranteed money. But I think probably all the other teams bar UNP were expected, I would say. UNP's had a really good, like they had a good 2 nights. I want to see how they go in the next couple of weeks because obviously the money does go up onto the next week. Yeah, I guess touching on Asia specifically, I don't know too much. Pero was the one that was kind of, well, Petrichor Road as they're called. They are the ones who obviously pitched to win the event, according to their pick'ems, alongside Gen G.
Yep.
Now, Pero's doing what you would expect. V7's actually on top at the moment. They've still got another night to play.
Ooh.
It's not bad. I think the biggest takeaway from this is NH is currently in 15th, and they actually qualified already for PGC off basically their respective circuit points in the area because APAC operates a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Basically, the teams who I am a little bit concerned as to what's happening, I would probably say the likes of, I think Gen G are probably doing a little bit better. Tony, you got that?
Yeah,
Tony,
I just accidentally refreshed the tab. My bad.
My man's
can't do anything with this man. Fuck.
Can't do anything. You can't bring him out to places either. I think
Yeah.
like NH is pretty well the biggest disappointment at the moment. They've had 2 third places in their first night, so clearly they're getting close. And yeah, it does show again the format can be a little bit whack for some teams, but V7 are doing really well for themselves. Like they had 2 firsts on the first day, and they had a 4th place at the final game of the night. Like that's really good for them. And honestly, for NA, we're not even going to touch on that because we all know what the fuck's going on there.
Sonics are just absolutely farming everybody. 93 kills in the first week. Yeah. Sonics, they got 3 wins under the new format, of course. SSG and Wildcard, they tied at that second, third mark. Of course, SSG getting a few more kills. TSM, a lot of kills.
Poor guys.
Poor guys, man. They got one win on day 2, of course, to start that week off, and it's very unfortunate. 78. TSM did absolutely bonkers, and then they just unfortunately got robbed by the format. Of course, Sonics, as we said, doing massive bits. United down there in that 10th kind of position. Dig as well. A little bit rough from their retrospective, of course. Wildcard performing pretty admirably. I don't know, of course, if these players have been together for as long. I'm not quite sure because I've been actually editing a few of their PUBG montages.
Across the board, the teams who have performed above what's expected is Wildcard.
Yeah.
They were nowhere near expected to come 3rd for the first week, and I think TSM really struggling. They had a 2nd place finish from TSM as well on that day, which is unfortunate, which they lost to Sonics. So go fucking figure. But Wildcard gaining 3rd place in the first week is great. I think it's definitely going to help them. But the thing is, with NA, Asia, and Europe, they have the point system, right? So the teams who are competing, they're not playing for first and getting a direct invite like APAC. They're playing for the most circuit points they can get to then get to PGC. The only reason being is because APAC doesn't have third-party PUBG events. That's the reason why. And NA and EU have ESL PUBG events, which is why we get a direct invite if we do win. But the thing is with Wildcard in this situation, like they have to actually finish top 2 to actually be able to qualify for PGC.
Before we advance, can I just point out Tony's fucked this recording? He fucking refreshed his tab. I need to fucking redo his cam now. Nothing's showing. Need a new link, I think.
Lordy.
You fucking nonce.
Give me 1 second and I'll send it to you. Stop being a sped, Tom. We're still
it's not me, it's
this,
him.
obviously. Yeah, I know. Stop. We're still recording this, obviously. So
yeah, we are.
Yeah, shut your dumb mouth.
Shut up, Tom. It's an easy fix. Just fix his camera up.
I'm
mate.
trying. I need a new link though. I don't know how to get the link.
I sent it to you in the chat, mate.
The new one?
It's right there.
Oh, you put it in that one. I'm looking in the fucking recording cams.
Oh, who cares? Just fucking put it in. Also, the other thing as well for the teams who did horribly, Tony, Oath is a team that should be top 3. E United and Dig, my fucking god, what the fuck happened there? Maybe us poaching Dig's coach is probably a bad thing. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
Dig, they had 3 third place finishes. The poor guys, man. Even 300, they had 3 third place and a 4th.
Jesus.
Yep.
Like, shit's rough out here, boys. Like, shit's rough. I think even looking at this, Oath had 52 kills. United had... If you're looking at these kills right now, Tony, if they've got a win, look at SIS.
Yep.
Fiam, Gas Cans, SG. They would have fucking come 5th if they got a win. Like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Even XD down the bottom, the poor guys are on 20 kills, but they almost got 3 wins.
Curse.
Jesus Christ.
That's the format
it's-
for you.
It's insane.
Yep, that's the format.
But yeah, I guess we should probably move on. We talked a bit about PUBG, but you know, recently the RLCS X major being announced. It's you know, as we can see in the Twitter, 6 million in prizing lands, and of course, a few other things as well. More regions being included, a revamped format. This is crazy for Rocket League.
Yeah. I think for the scene as a whole, this shit is nuts. They brought back lands, which is good. So props to them. So pretty well APAC, North, South, Middle East, North Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So apparently they'll have a wild card slot at the World Champs. But I guess looking at, the most relevant thing to us as it stands now, the most important thing to take from all this for us in OS is if we're looking at the splits, basically if we're looking at who gets to qualify, there's like regional events which lead to I think the World Champs, if I'm not mistaken, because OS has to play with NA, MNEA, and APAC South, I think, which is from November 12th to the 14th for the finals. So there's basically 3 different major splits, and then the World Championship, which starts basically from the 26th to 31st of July next year. And the big thing as well for OS is they're actually going to be bringing in skins for OS and Brazil. So for Latin American OCE, it's actually really good that we get to see that. Now, basically, OS and South American teams now get included. There's home and away kits for cars. There's designed in partnership with teams, and they also allow sponsors to be featured on the vehicles.
Holy shit.
Oh,
So-
Ground Zero skin's coming soon.
Yeah, so GZ's hasn't been leaked. They're 100% getting one, obviously. Riot's actually got leaked, which
Yeah.
is quite fucking ironic considering the next part of this little debacle. Because the orgs that get to compete in it, they get skins in the game, right? And from what I've seen so far, NA and EU, they have, I think, 8 teams, if I'm not mistaken, that have respective skins in the game. And I think we could potentially see something similar to what's happened in Siege, right? Where you have international orgs coming to OS to get their skins in Siege. So, teams like Elevate, Wildcard, bits and pieces like that. The only big problem being is teams don't stick together down here.
Nope.
That's the Australian way.
That's
That's in every scene. Everyone snakes everyone.
It's a big deal as well for Rocket League, right? Because especially as of today, Riot, they had their skins leaked a few days ago, and now their entire team has completely shit the bed.
We love that. We absolutely love that. We
Rip.
they've reformed as well under a different name.
So all 3 players basically dipped. One of them, I think it was Super Lucky. He used to play for Overt before that team disbanded. Now, the team that he's rejoined is the exact same core of that Overt roster who disbanded a month and a half ago.
Okay.
This sounds like
Why?
a snake.
I'm confused because the main reason being is because they disbanded because there was apparently like internal issues with the team and I'm like, if you have internal issues and you all rejoin the same team, is that not just going to create the same internal issues? Like they're all under 18 as well, so Rocket League's a very pretty orientated scene around the younglings. There's not many teams who are having players that are over probably I think 22 at the moment. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird thing personally because Riot signed all these teams and now they've reformed again into the exact same team. There's some whack shit going on there, man.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Not gonna lie. But like, they said they were all under 18 apparently as well. This could just be
All
like
three
a
of them.
whole testosterone fucking fueled bullshit, or like having an argument and a month later you're friends again sort of thing. Like when you have a punch on in school and your mates are the bloke the next day or sort of thing. That sort of mentality could be coming out. So
I feel bad for Riot in this situation. It's not very often I say that about a team, but I feel bad for them because if they've just tried getting skins in the game and they've put these forward, now they've had their team disband, then they have to try and pick up another team to then keep the skins in the game. So the question is, are they going to panic and pick up another team that's not going to be as good?
What I'm hearing, Joe, is there's an opportunity for the boat.
Mm.
The
Scuff.
boat. The fucking boat.
Scuff boat in Rocket League coming soon is all I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's all I'm hearing.
We'll get our actual like skin drew by a 5-year-old with crayons.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all I want.
What do you mean? We get Jimmy to do it. Is he wanted to do the graphics? We get
He's
Jimmy
a
in.
prime graphics designer, Jimmy.
Oh. Yeah, but it's a shit situation.
Yeah,
I would
it's
hate to
pretty-
be.
It's pretty shit. Again, in Rocket League, there isn't a team that has had this core team other than GZ for 12 months because every other team has had a change, which, you know, it does prove longevity does work. In GZ's case, they're going to keep. I think this is going to be the easiest season ever for GZ. Let's be real. Especially seeing what has happened today, I have no hopes for many teams other than GZ at this point, but I hope someone can prove me wrong.
Renegades, are you out there?
Not even them.
CJ, are you alive? But nah, fucking GZ, freaking, they're just gonna sweep the rest of this region again.
Yeah, which again is expected, right? Because especially looking at recent results, like there hasn't really been a team that's actually been able to beat them.
Yeah, and when it's not broke, then why fix it? So
yeah, I mean it's as simple as that, realistically. But I think the big takeaway from this is, I guess for the teams who are competing, there's more than just playing like fucking long-term commitment. You gotta really just format yourself as a team and push through, and especially if you go into an org in this scenario where they're getting skins in the game, like. You're literally going to be playing for a team in your own colors. Like, just fucking think about that for a moment. Like, how many games are allowing you to do that?
Not even Counter-Strike. And that's been around for, what, like 20 plus years?
Yeah, but the devs are dumb, Tony.
Call of Duty?
That's different.
Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Call of Duty is
So pretty well
said.
Siege and Rocket League. That's the only two that I can think of at the top of my head. Like, I don't really know of any other games that have
it would only be
stuff.
Siege, Rocket League, Call of Duty, Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch, true.
They're the only ones I can think of off the top of my head as well.
FIFA? Does FIFA?
FIFA is like you can create your own.
You
kits
can
in that
make
game,
your
though.
own. You can make your own kits, which is
Fair.
But there has been stuff like that before. Like 100 Thieves has its own kit in the game, so
yeah,
stuff like that. But I think the big takeaway from that just has to be these teams need to stick together. Otherwise, if they're going to approach an org, they're not going to have a chance because now Riot's just gone, oh shit, these guys are disbanded. What are we going to do? Because they've just signed these players on to try and pay them, and now they've got to flail around and try to find another team.
My question is, why, if you're getting a bag, why are you leaving? Why are you disbanding? You're getting fucking paid to play video games. That's every fucking kid's dream. The fuck's wrong with you? Work it out.
Get a
Come
grip.
on, time to grow up. Fucking, you're not in school, playing video games, sitting on your ass. You're in lockdown.
If you're getting paid to do something, though, it's a job, right?
Exactly.
Because straight away, like if you're in a work environment, you may hate some people. Like I hate some of the people I work with.
Oh fuck yeah!
But you put that shit aside and you do your job. Like it's quite literally as simple as that. Like I understand in esports specifically, it can cause internal conflict, which again, at least in this scenario, probably could have been resolved if that was the case. But I think, like across the board, if you're an org trying to pay a team, like you have faith in them to stick around, and now this shit's happened, like that's nasty, man.
It's like kids need to go to Bunnings and get some cement to toughen the fuck up.
Yeah,
Cement smoothies.
Yeah, fucking no Bunnings specials, and I'm not talking about snags.
Snagging a smoothie.
I actually feel like a fucking snag now as well. For fuck's sakes.
Pick me up, Tom. We're going for it. We're going for
Bunnings, Tony.
You go for a buddy. We got a Bunnings.
Record the rest of the episode from Bunnings. Say less.
Walk around like
Bunnings
this,
week.
fucking.
He's like walking around with a webcam, just like, "Sup, guys?"
Live in the car park.
So
Fucking
24 hours on
TikTok.
Bunnings.
Yeah, wait, is it 24 hours? Oh,
24-hour challenge of Bunnings.
send Tony in. That one will never find him. We'll go hide in the garden section in his monkey
You
suit.
know, I know the gardening section pretty well. I used to work in that department.
Yeah, he'd be in his monkey suit in the back corner.
Mm. But yeah, despite getting speaking of getting toughen up, Hastro from Envy, really going off a treat, saying that Envy is the best performing org in FPS games, despite having no proper results to back up that very bold claim.
So in the words, it was a HLTU writer that commented on it. God, what was his name? I need to try and find it. I think it was. Is it Note? I think it is. Note or something.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Not true.
he absolutely spit roasted him. Where he said, yes, in tops events such as, and then squints at it saying ESL Pro League Season 9 relegations and DreamHack Masters Malmo closed qualifiers. Please note, looking at all of these events, none of these are actual Tier 1 events or qualifiers for said Tier 1 events. And that's been since IEM Sydney 2019. So it has been a hot minute since Envy has done anything remotely good in an FPS game. Now, I'm not including Dallas Empire. They're a different entity. They've done one COD previously.
Yeah.
Hey, Dallas won a championship.
Yeah. So that's different though, because that's not Envy. They're a different brand.
They're
that's
different.
how they represent themselves.
I didn't know they won
So
a
they
championship.
represent it. Yeah. Sorry, they won a championship, but they're not Envy.
Yeah, I know.
Dallas
I'm just saying. I didn't know Dallas were anything good on like fucking LAN or anything. They're Wi-Fi warriors.
Because looking at this, right? So basically, the big thing that got taken away from this was he basically said, run it back for the past 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, and see where we stand. I know there's a data analyst out there who can rate the orgs. And he absolutely put him on fire and said, basically, looking back over the last 2 years, you overpaid Nifty for 2.5 years while in NA, and they went to shit with no support, and you'll get no compassion from me. Now, that's true.
Yep.
Like, that MV team was an absolute dumpster fire, as what we've seen previously, because it no longer exists, and ACS basically no longer exists. And realistically speaking, the big thing that came from this was saying all banned match fixers from CS should not have an opportunity in Valorant. And supposedly people need to say that to other large orgs. So he's clearly taking a dig at someone like Steel, who's gone to Valorant after the little saga he had a few years back. And he's revamped himself, turned himself into a really prominent individual. I personally think Hastro is just a cunt, honestly. I'm going to say it now. He is one of the most toxic owners I think I've seen ever. I think you compare him to someone like Carlos, and there's a fucking big difference between those two as
even Hex,
key individuals.
Yeah,
Even Hex as well.
And even though Hastro and Hex are best mates, but they're
like realistically speaking, if you're looking at a management role, right, the people who you should be working out to be is either going to be Hex or Carlos, one of the two. So you're either going to be a pretty genuine business guy who just likes to hang out with blokes, or you can be an absolute prick, but also a funny prick, and take the piss out of literally everything that goes wrong.
Yep.
Because I think the biggest takeaway from this as well is, for the most part, if we're going to be looking at stuff here, like the biggest event they've had is right now when they vest Gambit. Like in the last 5 years or so, this is the closest they've gotten to actually having a major title under their belt. And even then, I don't think they're going to get it.
Yeah, I think Gambit is just too much better of a team. We've seen them just absolutely tear apart Berlin and like beating, I believe it was Sentinels on their way in to this bracket, if I am correct. Let me just double check.
Envy beats Sentinels.
Yeah.
They're in a different part of it.
Sorry, NA was all at the top side.
Yeah, so again, if we're looking at this from an outside perspective as well, like if you're looking at the stats, Gambit should win. And it really just comes down to if Hastro is going to be there to talk facts in quotation marks. Like, it's not factual. You're just spitting shit, honestly, because there's no evidence that actually back you up.
Exactly. I hope Gambit fucking body him. I fucking hope it. Let's just put the man with an odd shaped head in the spot.
I would also like to see that, just because the amount of Twitter shit that would come out from that would be absolutely hilarious. Because I know, just on a side note from that as well, like Kaide basically called Crashies a scrawny boy, apparently, as she came out with a twit longer, basically saying that she's sorry for calling him. Yeah, basically saying she's sorry for calling him scrawny, even though he is scrawny. But basically, she just my thoughts on that is she just did it because just to clear the air, personal branding, 100 Thieves, blah blah blah,
sponsors and all.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's really not looking too good at the Envy camp right now. Let's put it that way. I think that shit's going to hit the fan real bad if Envy don't win against Gambit, and I think we're going to see some of the best reactions that we have probably seen this year from this shit.
I'd say you see reactions from people that aren't even in Valorant at the moment. I reckon you see something come from the side of Optic because of Castro and Hex's relationship. You might just see some banter come out of Hex, being like, where's that FPS title again?
Your garbage cunt.
Someone, I reckon personally, Joe, you should make the meme with the Port Adelaide coach choking himself for 2004 grand final.
Jeez.
And just put his face on it. No, so Tony, put it in context.
Yep.
Port Adelaide, AFL team in Australia, they won the grand final, and their coach came out like choked themselves, saying that the other team choked, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, you just change someone's face, and it'll be a quality meme if you get it. If you're not from the eastern states, like Tony is.
If you're not from Australia whatsoever, that's the context for it. But I think the banter's been pretty on point for the most part. Like, I guess still keeping around this little Envy saga specifically, but there has been a lot of banter that's come out of Berlin. Obviously, Sentinels and G2 going at it, but G2 gets the last laugh, kind of, even though they got 13-0'd, first 13-0 in international Valorant history. So congrats, G2. You've set another record for the most part.
Good job.
Carlos spent a lot of money on flying a plane over Berlin saying fuck Sentinels after
Well,
they
then
lost to them
Sentinels
once
did
and
the
beat
same,
them
didn't they?
once. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Nah, G2 won it.
Nah, Sentinels tried talking shit, and then they got knocked out by Envy. So then Sentinels' social media really just shit the bed from there. But yeah, there has been a lot of banter, which is nice to see. I think it's definitely good for competitive esports again.
Yeah. Oh, this is awkward silence. Tony, you want to go on to the next part?
Oh yeah, what is the next part?
The hotspot. Fucking looking.
No way! No way we're at the hotspot already.
We're at the hotspot, Tony.
Jeez! The hotspot.
We're not at the 2-hour mark this week, alright?
Thank God. Thank God.
Ironically, the best episode today was one that didn't have you, Tom. How does it feel?
I don't give a shit.
Unlucky. Alright, well, the hotspot, I guess we'll start it off with you, young Tom. How are you feeling?
Shit, personally, I'm going to say my hot would actually have to be Gambit making it all the way to the grand finals of Berlin. I'm not so sure that we expected Gambit to be there in the end, and I'm actually quite impressed with what's happened. My low spot, if I'm honest, gonna have to be the Riot Gaming Departure, like the RL stuff. Like I said it earlier. Kids like that are in esports, your egos are gonna get a hold of you really early, especially if you're good. Learn from this now. You're gonna have to be in the long haul to be able to do anything within this region.
Go to Fortnite.
Go to Fortnite. Nah, fuck Fortnite.
If Fortnite doesn't work, Valorant's always got a home for you.
Exactly. Look at Papi. So yeah, that would have to be my hot and low. I'm gonna pass it over to young Joseph.
Is that where we're just like handballing it off? Just
Okay, catch this.
Bang. I don't even know where my camera is.
No, you're on the wrong
I'm
side.
down the bottom. I don't.
I edit a football in.
I'm top left, you're top right, and
So
Tony's in the middle down the bottom.
Yeah, because the camera's flipped as well.
Yeah. It would have been that way.
Either way, probably positive. PUBG Corp's changing the format for PGC. Thank you. Like fuck, they've actually done that.
More money
Best
for
thing
Joe.
I've seen all year. Hopefully, if we qualify, fingers crossed. Which we should. Negative. I'm gonna go completely off track, and I reckon over the last week, we're gonna put 8-ballers getting fucking roasted again for their dumb shenanigans on Twitter, like just talking shit again.
Wait, can you touch on that briefly? What happened?
So
Did he talk
I
some
think
shit
it
again?
was. I forgot who it was. I think it's Pacific or some. I don't know who it is. Who's
Oh, well,
been
yeah.
doing the corona shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
just even more dumb shit coming out of his mouth. Like, just shut up, please.
Dude, the reply to that was great. Fucking Tham's reply. It was absolutely on point, dude. I love that shit.
Or on the other side of things as well, actually probably another hot for the week. Order yet to find a win in OCN. They're still lost. They lost to Overt yesterday, 8-7. But yeah, that's my positives and negatives. I reckon that's probably appropriate for the last episode. Tony, what are you feeling? What are you feeling about this?
What am I feeling? I think the positive is this AEN tourney. I'm quite happy to see it, whether I cast it or whether I'm just getting to sit back on the sidelines watch it unfold. I think it's cool to see an I guess an quote unquote off season tournament happen here in terms of Valorant. And props to AEN getting, of course, a pretty sizable prize pool. 3K is pretty good margin as well. Getting a few of these invite teams that we normally wouldn't get to see outside of VOT, maybe, of course, participate. And it's good to see AEN doing some good things for Valorant overall. And I guess my low for the week, it's Hastro, man. It's just Hastro. The guy's an idiot. Guys.
No, you can't call him an idiot. He's got the best FPS fucking
Oh,
monetization
sorry,
of
yeah,
all
Come
time.
on, Tony.
Sorry,
it's
Halo's an
statistically proven.
esport. My bad.
It's statistically proven as well. It's statistically proven that they're the best org at wasting money on players who don't achieve anything. Like, come on.
Hey, the Halo
God.
team did bits.
Yeah, fucking Halo 2006 era. Oh,
Envy
fine.
Halo. Whew. God damn.
They were in competitive esports 2006.
It probably was. I don't think Envy were in around that time, but yeah.
I would assume. Listen, I would be assuming so because Riot Gaming was founded back in 2005. So I would assume MV was back then. Yeah, Tom, my thoughts exactly, but we're not going to touch on that.
How old are these motherfuckers?
16 years.
Yep.
These motherfuckers 50?
Yep.
God damn.
Probably.
They're playing Tetris before we were born.
Yep.
Jesus.
They were competing before I was out of nappies. How does that make me feel?
Fuck.
Well, at least someone was getting their ass wiped.
Oh fuck! It's been fun though, guys. I think we're gonna have to go for the recap, Tony. We're gonna have to do the whole summary. We've had 10 episodes. Pretty well, a lot of them have been hot takes. There's been a lot of hate.
Fuck Frag Empire.
Yeah, fuck Frag
everyone.
Empire. Fuck every Fortnite team available right now. There's more teams still shitting the bed as we speak, which I won't go into.
Hey, did we get any ticks out of it, or?
No.
Just a lot of unhappy people, Tom, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I guess realistically across the board, boys, like we've had 10 episodes. We've had some pretty good viewership across the board. Good listeners. Everyone's been really supportive as well. And I guess like just on a final note to all of our previous individuals who have actually come on and shared their thoughts and just had a bit of a yarn, have a bit of a laugh and everything about everything. I think if we're going to go through the list, we had Matt on first, followed by Huzzy, Jimmy, JDU, Wanda, Aussie, Tham and Foggers, a couple of the old FE boys, and then Rosa and Ezekiel for last week. So it's been a very good time. We've had a lot of different guests on board. And I think, Tony, if you kind of just want to like, I guess, finish things off as you started, just, I guess, share your thoughts on this season. Same with you, Tom, I guess, on what your thoughts have been. Share your thoughts about this type of shit. I can talk as much as I want, obviously, but you guys have been here for as long as I have.
Tom, would you like to take it away?
Tony, you
No,
first,
all right,
mate.
all
You're
right, I
first,
guess-
Tony. Let the host go first.
All right, I'll start off. Yeah. I guess this also extends an invite to guests. Of course, going into our next season, we'd love to have different people, of course, from every different walks of life. We've had, of course, a ton of admins on. We've had a few players, of course. We've had an org owner or two come in. We've had
match fixes.
match fixes. Yeah.
No, that was a
sorry.
joke.
Yeah. Shout out to Foggers and Theme. But yeah, no, it's good to see. I came into this as not expecting the type of I guess popularity and notoriety that this podcast has garnered. I've had a few nice DMs as well from a few lovely people, of course, Swifty to name. He talked to me a bit about that last podcast. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. So it's always great to hear some feedback. Always good to hear that we're doing some of these topics justice. And if not, of course, we're always willing to be wrong sometimes.
I'm always willing to be wrong. What do you mean?
What's wrong with being wrong? Like, it's an opinion. Even if your opinion is wrong.
Like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
That's my job, though. That's my job.
Talk shit. That's why Tom's here. He's literally just here to talk shit and no factual evidence whatsoever.
Oh, fuck that.
That's what we want.
I'm just going to say it how I
That's
say
why
it.
we got
right?
him. That's why we got him.
How I say it. But no,
It's like the bully at the school. Tom's there as the hype man going, yeah, he's going to do this. It's like...
I'm the one egging on the kid getting bullied. Like, you fucking do it, cunt. Come on, there's $20 on you.
Fuck you know.
It's with the hype man on the side.
EC guy, I don't gamble. It's chill.
Well, you don't gamble on kids at school getting beaten up.
Well, hopefully not. I'm 24.
Again,
I'd hope
sitting there at the fence, just going like, "Go Timmy, go Timmy."
I'd hope he was.
That's kind of creepy, Joe. I want to know what happens up there on the hill. Jeez.
Does it happen on the hill?
But yeah, this season been a great season, even though I was only here for 9 episodes. And then I went on that episode. Reason why I was away, I went and watched the football. My team got smashed by 10 goals. It wasn't worth it. And I didn't get drunk, so it definitely wasn't worth it.
You definitely fucked up, Tom.
Yeah, I fucked up on 2 avenues there. But yeah, everyone that came on, thanks for coming on. Honestly, everyone's had fun. I've had a huge amount of fun, basically just talking shit. It's all I'm really good at these days. But also thanks to Joe and Tony. They're this side of my screen hand. This side. Gotta get my cameras right. These two for having me and putting up with me. Even though
I'm down below, aren't I?
Yeah, down below. You're down.
Is that right,
there.
Tom? Is that right? High five
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
There we go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the Tony's down like here somewhere. Like, yeah, he's waving to a logo right now.
It's like hi logo. It's just up there.
But no, thanks for them putting up with my shit. Even though, obviously I've departed from Fury last week, and obviously I'm just doing my own thing now. But to all future guests and stuff that come on, go to Bunnings first. Like the couple of days before, because it takes a couple of days for cement to fucking harden up. To orgs and
just prepare in advance before you come on.
Yeah, just prepare because.
Dude, I swear to God, we get one guest on and they have a fucking bag of cement in their background. I lose it.
I'm giving it $50 straight up. But nah, to any like developing orgs or clans out there, please keep folding because fucking up. You're giving us stuff to talk about, and it is brilliant.
Fold like a deck chair, guys. Keep going. Like this is literally.
But if you do have a tick, quick draws for your email is mostly in the description now for businesses. So it's at fury.global at something.
It's like contact at furyglobal.com. We need a tick. Twitter doesn't want to give us one.
Yeah.
So
help the boys out. If you're wanting apparel from people, don't worry, it's coming soon. There's no ETA.
We'll have merch for this podcast coming soon.
Yeah, it's just going to be a sticker that says "Bring the heat." Please vandalize every building in your local area.
I'd probably do that.
Vandalize
everything. It's like a baby on board sticker, but it's just like a bring the heat sticker, which like moron on board at the bottom.
Moron on board.
or just the Bunnings logo next to it. Little sponsor with cement. But yeah,
Oh, yeah,
So, yeah,
Bunnings.
Bunnings, if you're there, we need a sponsor for this. So
I need cement.
yeah.
Honestly, I
Speed dial.
actually do need cement.
I can
So-
honestly imagine Tom just like when talking about something, and then Tom's just there, and he just goes like, "Oh, boys, hold up, I'm gonna harden up real quick." Ducks out,
Shut
brings a couple of some heads.
Brings a shovel.
Brings a bucket in it. It says instant cement.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
It's like,
that's
toughen up, you shit. Just
Well, I
that
know what I'm
tough
doing.
shit.
Getting the bucket. But yeah, that's cheers, cunts.
Mm.
Listen,
Jeez.
yeah, just on a final note before we knock off as well. The next season will actually be starting very, 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 very soon.
That's a lot of berries.
Yo,
Yeah,
hold
it's a
up.
lot
Have
of
we got an
berries.
ETA?
Yeah,
We've got an
ETA.
ETA the 15th of October. That's when
Oh.
Series 2 kicks off. We're going to have some new graphics. We're going to have hopefully some new guests, depending on who doesn't hate us.
Studio coming soon.
Tom, I want to get that sorted. Like,
It's, yeah, hit him up. Hit him up.
listen, I was watching Sav and Josh from Chiefs. They have two people in Queensland together, and they have Josh sitting on a couch by himself in Adelaide talking.
What a guy.
Tony, you
Next
got a
season.
couch, and is it black
I
leather?
I do have a couch. I do have a
So-
black couch too.
Is it a black leather couch, and can we
Yep.
call it the
So-
Coon casting?
Yep.
All I'm hearing is next time we're gonna have
Some big things.
some big things.
So,
It's
Joe, you're
coming.
gonna build a shed on your land with all with your parents?
We're just gonna rent out a room.
Yeah.
Done.
So, wait, Tony's coming to Adelaide, confirmed?
Yeah, maybe.
In the future, if he does actually come down, this will be massive. You know, as soon as he doesn't
No, that's
get COVID,
Tony's
he's already
fat
got
ass.
5G.
I do have the 5G, so apologies if I've been shit this fucking podcast because holy fuck, I want to die. But yeah, that's it's gonna be Pog next season. Big Pog,
Huge pog.
huge
More
Pog.
stuff on the way. Big Poggies. Fuck, I don't know.
Did you
How
say
do we want to
Poggies?
close
Hold up.
this?
Hold on, did you say poggies?
Poggy Woggy? Is that? I've heard people say that before.
Okay, yeah.
Tom's gone.
On that note, on
Hold up.
What are you
Before we
doing?
finish, I'm
No.
what are you doing?
Googling.
What are you googling?
Googling something.
Hey, better be sending me a poggy
So
woggy.
a Poggy Woggy is a very deeply sentimental hug in which you squeeze the person to the point near suffocation and nudge your head in a circular motion.
I could use one of those, honestly.
This is
it's
coming
also-
from Furry Esports.
It's also a name of a song from Cara Blast that's literally called Poggy Woggy. So
Shout out to Car Blaster.
shout out to Cara Blast. Go check out her music.
Mm.
Anyway, it's been fun. Season 1's done. Season 2 on the way. Big things on the way. We're
Not
gonna
just
have
me.
new graphics, new setup.
New Coom.
We have buckets on standby for the coom that will come from this.
Mm.
Before we go, I've got a visual representation of esports, by the way.
Yep.
Garbage.
And just light it on fire. All you have to do is light that on fire then.
Yeah,
Yep,
never say
see.
dumpster fire. It's not
Perfect.
just a
Oh, it fucking stinks as well. Fuck.
dumpster.
Oh, I gotta clean that. Jesus. Oh.
All right.
Tiny, finish us off. We're talking shit again. Everyone hates it when we do this.
Well,
Well,
that's the best part.
ladies and gentlemen, that has been Bring the Heat, episode number 10. Of course, you can check us out on the Fury Twitter and all the socials. Of course, Podbean, Anchor FM, the Fury YouTube channel, Spotify as well. Please get us on Apple Music or something like that. I don't know how that works, but guys, that has been Bring the Heat, episode number 10, and we'll see you next season.